Hi everyone, welcome back. It's Marcia with Buy Sell Plan, and today I'm going to do a walkthrough of our 2025 business plan bundle here. There are 23 pages front and back, so it is a big one. And I created this based on my experience over the last 25 plus years in sales and management, and how I have tracked my goals based on my my goals, and then my activity numbers. I've been in sales for a very long time. I was in the corporate world. I managed teams, salespeople were my direct reports. I was a general manager, and my direct reports were the sales people, but I had to overlook all departments. So tracking and measuring goals is something that I've been doing for many, many years. So when I became a real estate agent, and I noticed that that was lacking. There was no real breakdown on how to figure out your goals, as well as tracking and measuring them in a way that is laid out and makes sense. So I created one myself, and I've been asked many times over the years, if you watch my Plan With Me videos, where I am tracking and measuring my goals on a weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly basis. I've been asked a lot, how do you know how many appointments you need to go on and how many conversations you need to have, how many sales you need to do, and all of that stuff. So I created it on paper to help you guys. And I'm really glad that I did, because this is helpful for me. I usually just did it in a notebook, not in anything formal, just because I've been doing it for so many years. But so this is a year in the making, ironing this out so that it makes sense, okay? And it all flows together and goes together. And the business plan then will work with my other inserts, which are the quarterly goal planning inserts, as well as doing a monthly review, as well as tracking your KPIs. For me, my KPIs are listing appointments, buyer appointments, social media growth, monthly and quarterly activity, which is like appointments, leads, and so on for real estate. But we made these neutral so that they weren't specific to real estate agents. Okay, I have information written on the listing appointment one, so I can't really show you that one. But for me, it's buyer appointment. The ones in the shop, I do have a real estate version, but I do have a version for people who are not in real estate. So it won't say listing and buyer appointment. It'll just be appointments. Okay. Yeah. So this is your KPI, where it's for tracking monthly as well as year to date. Okay. And then with the schedule part here, at the beginning of each month, I have an action plan, right? So an action plan, and then in the dailies, I have a spot down here to track activity. Yeah, so they are meant to all work together, but it stems from the business plan. The business plan is what needs to be done first, and then they work together after that throughout the year. So that is the idea. So first page is a table of contents so that it's easy to reference based on what you need to look for or reference, so you know what page you're looking for. But we start with values because everything stems from your core values that you set for yourself and your business. So it's really important that this was first, because like I said, everything is going to stem from here. So there's a spot for 6 values, whether you want to do 3 for personal, 3 for professional, all personal. It really doesn't matter. I tend to do a little mixture of both, because business and personal are always going to intermingle. So even if they are all personal, you want to make sure that your work life does complement your core values, right? So like I said, a spot for your for 6 core values. So you write your value up here and then an explanation of what that means to you and what that looks like. And then we have a spot for 3 big future goals. So these are dreaming really, really big. They're not meant to necessarily happen in that year, but it's for you to set your sub goals over the year to get you a step closer to your big future goals, right? So I have in here, so you write your big future goal on the top, and then date achieved by. So what's your goal on when you would like to achieve that by? What are some action steps that you need to take to get there? And then what can you do this year to get a step closer? So I have a spot for 3 big future goals just in case you had more than one. And then I have 3 pages of SMART goals, and these are meant to be for each future goal, all right? So let's say your big future goal here was, I'm going to buy a beach house on the ocean, and my goal is 10 years from now. Writing out my action steps, and then what can I do this year to get a step closer? So based on what can I do this year to get a step closer, I'm going to set my SMART goals based on that to get me a step closer to that big future goal. Okay, it doesn't even have to be something like that, like buying, a property on the ocean. It could even just be paying off your mortgage. It could be, I don't know, I can't think off the top of my head, but you get the idea. Whatever your big future goal is, it's perfect. And so, like I said, these SMART goals are for each one. So you have 3 for that. And if you're not familiar with SMART goals, they stand for specific. So you want your goal to be specific. What's the purpose and focus of the goal? It needs to be measurable. Can this goal be measured in your KPIs? Needs to be achievable. Is this goal achievable this year? And of course, realistic. Do you have the capacity to work on it actively? I have made that mistake many times. I set really big goals thinking I'm gonna have the energy and the capacity all year long, not thinking about all the bumps in the road along the way. So it's really important that you really give that some thought, because who you are now while you're making this goal, you might be a different person 6 months from now. So make sure that whatever your goal is, you have the capacity to work on it actively throughout the year. And then, is it timely? So what's the date and timeline? Because if you don't have that time frame, that timeline, then chances are you're not going to keep it top of mind, okay? And based on my SMART goals, I like to use this as a jumping off point for a vision board. So I highly recommend that too. And same with your big future goal. It's important, I think, in a vision board to not just have images and words and phrases on there for the goals that you want to achieve this year, but your big future goals should be on there as well. Okay. And then we get to a spot for notes, just anything that you want to jot down relating to the first 6 pages. And then what's my motivation? So this is, if you're familiar with my big why, like what's going to motivate me to wake up every day and actively work on my goals. So what's my big motivation? So consider what inspires you to get up each morning and what goals you want to achieve. Then determine how much money you'll need to reach those goals. This is going to help you when it comes to setting your financial goal for the year. Okay. And then we have vision and mission. It's very important to have those, whether it's for your business, for your company, or even just for yourself, or a combination of the two. So what's my vision? Where do you want to get to? How does it impact your community and those around you? So some thought-provoking questions to help you write out your mission statement. So some thought-provoking questions to help you write out your vision statement, okay? So a vision statement is present tense, so you want to build a picture in people's minds. And then your mission, this should align with your core values, describe what your business does, and the specific steps to get there. So again, some thought-provoking questions and a spot for you to write out your mission statement. Okay, and then we get into figuring out your conversion rates based on the previous year's activity. So I have a spot here to write out what was your actual, so how many contacts, leads, appointments did you book? How many appointments did you go on? How many contracts signed? How many transactions did you do? What was your gross commission income last year? And what was your sales volume? And then on the other side of this little line here, you'll put down what your goal was. And then here is the difference, right? And this is really good to help you see, did I achieve my goal? Did I have a surplus? Did I fall off? And it'll help you analyze, like, how realistic were your goals if you were really far off, or it could be not just realistic, it could be life changes that happened that prevented you from going after it and surpassing or achieving. And then here is based on the numbers in here, you're going to plug them in here to figure out what your conversion rates were for the previous year. And I put numbers in here so that you knew where to go on here. So for example, the first one here is to find out the number of contacts needed to book an appointment. Divide the number of appointments booked by the number of contacts made. So first you need to do is grab your contacts. You're going to get that from here. And then you're going to divide that by the amount of appointments that you booked. You're going to get that from here. And then that's going to give you the contact to appointment ratio. Okay. And so on and so forth. That continues on. So then you're going to reflect. So some thought-provoking questions. And I find this really beneficial after I have figured out my numbers. Ideally, you want to stay on top of your numbers as the year goes on, but sometimes, you're not really digging deep on a regular basis. So this is digging really deep. And so after seeing everything on paper, I find going through these thought-provoking questions is really eye-opening. Did I reach my 2024 goals? What was most challenging? How did I grow? Am I happy with how I used my time? What did I dislike doing? What do I want to do more of? Who do I want to spend more time with? So yeah, some really great thought-provoking questions to really help you determine some good goals for the next year. So here's where we determine the new goals for the new year. And all of the numbers you're going to be putting in here are going to come from here. Right here is where your conversions are going to go from doing the math. And then you're going to put them here so you don't have to keep flipping and looking for them. Okay, it's kind of like a cheat sheet. All right, so then we're going to be figuring out your gross commission income goal, transactions. I call them transactions. You can call them sales, deals, whatever it is in your business. Okay, and then we get into contracts signed, appointments held, appointments to book, leads that are needed, contacts needed, and so on. So this is going to give you your numbers and then a spot for notes. And then all of these numbers that you're figuring out are going to go here. So it's a one page for you to reference throughout the year to know what your goals are for the year. Then you can break them down per month and per quarter. Okay. And then we have habits and routines. So what are some habits and routines for you to focus on in order to reach these goals? Your ideal schedule. I made it nice and wide in case you wanted to elaborate. So the times go from 7 till 10. So you write in your ideal schedule, and then if you wanted to, make some notes on the side on what like to elaborate on what you're doing on certain chunks of time. So that's there for you, spot for notes. And then this is a place for you to put your goals for the year. So this is your action plan for the year. All right. And then this will coincide with the monthly action plans at the beginning of the monthly calendars. All right. So these are meant to, if you wanted to pack this away, if you don't need to reference all of this information throughout the year, I found with me for 2024, I had seasons where I would take it out and put it in a storage binder, and then I had seasons where I wanted to reference it, so I would put it back in my planner. So whatever it is that you decide to do, this is meant for you to have just these in your planner if you wanted to archive those for you know, for the whole year or for a while, so you still have your numbers that your activity numbers for the year and broken down per month and per quarter. So you have that in your planner all year. You have your habits and routines, your ideal schedule, and you have your action plan. Or you can just do the action plan if you don't want anything else, if you don't need anything else, and put that, put all of this away. Okay. So I hope that was helpful in explaining what the business plan is. If you don't have a commission job, but you still have goals, you know, you could be in some type of a sales job where you are paid a salary and you might still have goals that you need to work on. I feel like this could still be helpful for you. You know, if you have a salary, then you just put what your gross commission income goal, you just put your salary for the year here. You know, so there is no cost of sales or operating expenses or things like that. So there's certain parts that you can just omit, right? And then just focus on what your conversions are to achieve certain goals. Okay, so I've made some revisions since I started with this. I like to print them out, try them myself first before I put them in the shop. But so yeah, I did the numbers part. I haven't done everything else yet. I'm going to redo it with these fresh inserts that are ready to go and perfected. And yeah, let's do that. I just want to say too that I have all of this done in my brain dump notebook. So I always kind of do a scribbly and not so neat and tidy before I put it in here. So I'm just going to do my numbers with you, and then I will be filling all of this in at another time, and I'll give you a tour of it when I'm done. If you would like, let me know in the comments if you would like to see that. I'll share what I can, but today I'm going to write in my numbers, and I'm going to use this Pilot friction pen in the black ink because it's nice and soft, and I like the blue. It's really pretty. It's just I might not use blue all year long, so I just want to use a neutral color that's not so bold. I don't know, I'm funny that way. Okay, so last year I did 1355 contacts and my goal was 441. So I had a surplus of 914. Okay, my leads. My leads were 115. My goal was 74, so I had a surplus of 41. And then for appointments booked, I booked 38 appointments. The goal was 33, so I had a surplus of 5. And then appointments held, I went on 33 appointments. The goal was 31, so I had a surplus of 3. Contract signed, 16 signed a contract. The goal was 25, so -9, deficit of 9. Transactions, 11 transactions. The goal was 18, so -7. And I went through and analyzed all of the appointments, what the objections were, and there were a lot of interest rates being really high and waiting until interest rates go down and selling in the spring of the next year, which would be this year. So we have a pretty full roster for this spring based on appointments that we went on last year. But of course there were some that didn't hire us and they went with someone else, and that's fine too. We're not going to get 100% of the appointments. I hope one day that will happen, but it's kind of impossible. Okay, and then gross commission income goal and sales volume. I'm going to leave that part blank just because that's kind of personal. Well, it is personal, so I'm going to leave that part out. All right, so now we're going to figure out some numbers. So to find the number of contacts needed to book an appointment, divide the number of appointments booked by the number of contacts made. So I booked 1355 appointments. No, oh my gosh. I spoke to 1,355 people. So that's how many contacts, how many conversations I had throughout the year. And I booked 38 appointments. Okay, so dividing those means my contact to appointment ratio is 36. So basically it took me 36 contacts, 36 conversations to book an appointment. Okay. Now, next one is figuring out my lead to transaction ratio. So I take my leads, number 2, and I divide it into how many transactions I did, which is number 6. And that's going to give me my lead to transaction ratio. So that's showing me that it took me 10 leads to do a deal throughout the year. I've had some years where it was 6.5. I've had some years that it's been 3.5. It just depends on market conditions in my industry. And last year was a very tough market. All right, so last year's activity continued. So this here is figuring out average sale price. All right, so this is where we would put the sales volume divided by the number of transactions we did, and that would give me my average sale price. So average sale price would be, in my market, was 615,000. Okay, but again, I'm going to do that later because I don't want to put my sales volume in there. I mean, I guess you could do the reverse math if you wanted to figure it out, but and then to calculate your average commission per transaction, multiply your average sale price by your average commission rate. So for example, if my average sale price is 700,000, I would divide that by how much commission I charge. So let's say I charge 6% commission, it would be 700,000 times the 6% commission, and then that would give me my average commission per transaction. So basically my average paycheck. All right, and then the next one is to determine what my show percentage is. So let's take my appointments held, which is number 4 over here. Appointments held divided by appointments booked, which would be number 3. So that means that 87% of the appointments that I booked showed or happened. All right, and next I need to figure out my appointment conversion. So to get your appointment conversion ratio, divide the number of contracts signed by the number of appointments held. All right, so contracts signed. Even though I have readers on, I need to see my eye doctor. Like, I still struggle. Okay, so 16 divided by 24. So my appointment conversion is 67%. So this means that 67% of the appointments that I had last year signed a contract with us. All right, so next up is closed deals per transaction. So this is to calculate your percentage of closed deals or transactions, divide the transactions by the number of contracts signed. So I'm only going to, so I did a total of 11, but I'm only going to put in here the sales number, for listings, because the buyers that I had came from the listings, right? So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 4 of the listings that we took last year also needed to buy something. Okay. There were quite a few actually that moved to a different province. So then I referred them to an agent in that province. So I don't count those, but the ones where I helped in my market are the ones that I count. Okay, so this is 88% of the people who sign a contract actually transact. And the reason why I track this is because in my industry, not everyone who signs a buyer representation agreement or a listing agreement will actually transact. Life happens, they can change their mind. Life circumstances, for example, if they were moving for a job and that job fell through, they want to take their house off the market, they're not going to sell it now. Same with buying. We actually did have quite a few first-time buyers that were in a lower price point. that even though we tried many, many times and put in many offers, they just kept getting outbid, and so they didn't transact. All right, so you want to, I call that fall off, and in real estate lingo, I guess I've heard it many, many times. It's called fall off. So you do need to account for about a 10 to 15% fall off because not everybody will transact. So just make sure that you know what that is for your industry. Okay, so I will be filling the other information in later. Okay, so now I'm going to fill in these numbers based on these percentages. Okay. So now it's time to determine what my goals are for this year based on my conversion rates from the previous year. So these first two I will be doing on my own just because it will have in there like what my operating expenses are, cost of sales, my gross commission income goal, what my net income goal is, and then the transaction. I can tell you that I do need 24 transactions this year based on my GCI goal and my average commission. So again, I'll fill that out later. Okay, so same thing here. We put numbers to help so that you know where to go to find those numbers on here, just to help make it easier, especially if you're new to doing this. It can even confuse me sometimes, and I've been doing this for years. So I just wanted to make sure that it was as easy to follow as possible. Okay, so for contracts, this is the number of sales needed divided by the percentage of prospects that complete a transaction. So number of sales goes here, so that's my goal, right? I need 24 transactions, and then divided by the percentage that actually complete, right? So again, it's accounting for that fall off that I just talked about. So 88% of people who sign a contract actually transacted. So that means that I would need 27 new contracts for the year. All right, so now to figure out how many appointments I need to go on, I take that number. So 27 is the number of new contracts that I need. And then I need to divide that by my appointment closing percentage. So 67% of people that I sit down with last year signed a contract with me. So therefore, I need to go on 40 appointments. Now to figure out how many appointments do I need to book to sit in front of 40 people in order for 27 of them to sign on. So I take my appointment held goal, so that's 40, and I divide it by my show percentage, which is number 7 over here. So 87% of appointments that I book happen. Okay, and so that means that I need to book 46 appointments. Now, how many leads do I need? Because you can't book appointments without leads, right? So I take how many appointments I need to book, and I divide that by how many leads does it take me to do a transaction, to complete a transaction. So last year it took me 10. So therefore I would need 460 leads. Now I have over 700 people in my CRM, my database, that I am following up with consistently throughout the year. So I have enough people in my database. So I don't need to do cold calling and go outside of my database to find more people. I always do though, but I don't need to. I can 100% focus on my database, and I will be able to do my 24 transactions. So that's something to take a look at. If you have a CRM of some kind, people who have purchased with you, and you are keeping in touch with them throughout the year, there is a possibility for you to achieve your sales goal from people that you've already either done business with, whether they want to do another transaction with you or refer someone to you, or someone that has expressed interest in what you do, but hasn't purchased from you yet. So always take a look there first to see how many people you have, and then you can work backwards from there. So let's say I only had 300 people in my database. Well, that means I need to find 160 more, for example. Okay. Now, not everyone in your database is going to do business in that given year, which is why like my goal is 24 out of over 700 people. I will be able to find 24. But if I had 30 people that needed 24 transactions, which very well can happen if you're brand new in your industry, then that means that you have a lot more lead generation that you need to do outside of your database. I hope that makes sense. I hope I'm not confusing you. Definitely let me know if you have any questions. Okay, so contacts needed. How many conversations do I need to have? So total number of leads needed. In my industry, for every 6 people that I have in my database that I'm nurturing on a regular basis will equal a transaction. All right, so this will be different in your industry. So that's what we put over here. What is your average number of contacts based on your industry to convert a prospect into a sale? It could be lower, it could be a lot higher. It just depends on your industry. So that means that my contact goal this year is 2,760. All right. Now I can put my goals in here and then break it down per month and per quarter. So I'm going to write my numbers in here. And these numbers all came from here. Okay. So this is showing me that I need 38 leads a month, 230 contacts a month, 4 appointments booked per month. I need to go on 3 appointments each month, sign on 2 people, and do 2 transactions or 2 sales. And this breaks it down per quarter. All right, and then what I did was based on those numbers, I went to my KPIs and I put those numbers in here. Okay. So 200, this is per month. So I put my goal for the month of January here. That's where that comes from. And then per quarter, this is for year to date. So this here, you'll just do as each month goes on, you'll add on. So this is just the month of January, January and February, January to March and so on. And then here's the quarterly. I just realized that I did that in the blue ink, which I think looks so pretty. I love it. So I think I might do my quarter, put my quarter goals in there. So per quarter, I need 115 leads. $690 contacts, 12 appointments booked, 10 appointments held, 7 contracts signed, and 6 firm deals between January and March. And voila, that is a tour of our 2025 business plan and how it coincides and is meant to work together with your KPIs, your monthly action plan, and your quarterly goal planning. Now, I haven't done that yet. I mean, I should say I did, but I want to elaborate more. Let me show you. So I did, but again, I did it in the blue and I felt that the blue overpowered. So I highlighted here. So I'm going to redo this. And I don't like how I did this. I started the sentence underneath the top line, but then over here I did it on the top line. I'm like, this is going to bother me all year. So I'm going to redo it. But anyways, so I got a fresh one here. That's the beauty of printable inserts, right? Is that if you make a mistake, it's not like you ordered it, paid for shipping, it's already pre-punched, and then, then you have to order it again. Like you just reprint out the page that you need. That's what I love about printables. Oh yeah, this looks so good. So let me know in the comments below if you would like me to share more once I have this filled in, and I'd be happy to do so. All right, so thank you so much for watching. So this is available in my shop now. You can go to buysellplan.ca, and I'll link it below as well. All right. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more business functional planning type content. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.